By my house there was this road, and I remember thinking if this depression didn't go away, if I really just wanted to off myself, I could hit this bump in the road and there's a pull off to the right side and it'd be over. My story starts in 2006, after running and gunning for a few years with my brother using heroin, cocaine. I didn't like who I was or who I was becoming, and I think there was a way back. I remember my brother and I were living in a basement. We were craving like crazy. You know, it had been probably 48 hours since we'd used, and it got to the point where I felt that I needed to use as much as I needed to breathe. You know, one of our dealers told us that you could steal 509s or 509s Levi's and trade them to the Mexican Mafia for heroin balloons. I was really scared, and I think I was more scared for my brother's life than I was from my own. Battling addiction, you typically don't do it alone. You're with a lot of friends, and after a period of time, you're going to lose a friend or two or three or four. And, you know, my rock bottom was fear. One day we come home, and I didn't know really what was going on. And we're sitting around as a family. They said, we want to talk about this drug problem. You know, they went around and started talking about how they want us to stop. And I remember, you know, lying. What really touched me is my lowest brother, Jaron. I could tell he didn't quite understand what was going on. And he looked at me and says, I just want my brother back. And that was the beginning of a turning point for me. So I remember sitting there in rehab, and I remember seeing these guys who had some sobriety, and they seemed to be happy. And I wasn't happy inside. You know, I had a lot of shame. I felt I wasn't deserving of God's love. And when they started talking about step 2, that my spiritual health could be restored, that was fascinating to me. I had to know, and particularly I had to know if I could be forgiven, because I was convinced that if I didn't get an answer, that there's really no hope. Why be here, you know? So that night, as I got on my knees, I didn't even get a word out. I couldn't even get a word out because I had an overwhelming sense of love. That feeling lasted for, it seemed like 10 minutes. I just sat there in awe, just feeling this power, this overwhelming sense of peace that I never felt in my entire life. And that was the beginning of my recovery. That's when I knew that, okay, all right, he's there. He's there.